So whether you are a beginner to playing an instrument or whether you're a seasoned pro who's played for longer than the time it's taken my dad to tell me that he loves me, then you'll know that playing scales can be, well, pretty boring. The tedious ascend and descend of seemingly random notes can get pretty tiresome without any real context. So I've put together 5 different tricks to help breathe some more life into your scale playing. Now this is for any instrumentalist, any tonal instrumentalist, and it's especially geared towards piano and guitar players, but anyone's included. And just before we jump in, if you would like the PDF of every major and minor key for piano players, so standard notation, or guitar tabs for guitar players, then you can head on over to my Patreon page, links are in the description, where you can download all of them in a neat PDF. Tip 1, stop being straight. Okay, that sounds a little bit weird out of context. However, in context, not so much. So, when we play scales, we normally play straight quavers, like this. However, jazz musicians especially play scales slightly swung. And what's happening there is that we're dividing all the notes kind of into groups of 2, one long and one short, a bit like this. Long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. So the first one's a little bit longer than the second, and we just repeat that rhythm for all the notes in the scale. Tip 2, tempo. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that most of you will have tried this in some way, but stick with me on this. So we're going to play around with tempo, aka speed. A challenge I like to give my guitar students is to play the E pentatonic scale, which is like an open scale, as fast as they can. It has lots of open strings and some really easy notes to play to, and it's really fun to try and see how fast they can go. Sometimes it's even fun to see how slow they can do it with really good control. For you piano players out there, maybe pick an easy scale like a C major scale, or a scale that has very few hand movements or those pesky black keys. But what you can do is try it nice and slow to begin with. If you try and go in fast straight away, you're probably going to have a bad time. However, start off slow at a steady tempo. Get a metronome. Let's pick a number, let's say 100 BPM, and play your scale at that tempo. And then see if you can go 10 beats per minute, BPM, faster. Then if you can do that, add 10 more. And keep doing that until your fingers fall off. Dynamics. Dynamics, or the change in volume, can really change and mix up the sound of your scales. So by practicing a scale in one dynamic is great, but what about trying to play it at different dynamics? Why don't you go to the full extreme? So one playthrough you could play a scale really loud, or really quiet. Another thing I like to try and do for my students is to really challenge them by telling them to ascend in one dynamic and descend in another, like this. Now this really lends itself to wider aspects of music. When you play your songs, dynamics tends to get overlooked quite a bit. So bringing dynamics into your scales can really help make you think and improve your general playing. Well, hey. Just before we get to tip number 4, I totally forgot to record a thank you to all my Patreon subscribers who are on the screen somewhere. So I'm doing it 3 days later whilst I'm editing the video, wearing the same clothes. Anyway, Patreon subscribers, they get access to everything, including all the PDFs that I make for any video. They get the name on the screen, they get voting rights, they get chat support, they get everything. So, if you want to be part of that, links are in the description below. Back to the tips. Tip 4, harmony and patterns. So this is where you can really spice things up. So, piano players, this one's for you. If you, let's say, play a C major scale, what you could do with one hand is play the C major scale, as normal. But at the same time, right hand, instead of starting on C, you could start 2 notes higher on E, and play that at the same time as the left hand playing on C. So you get this lovely harmony of these 2 notes working together. It sounds great. For you guitar players, I'm going to steal something from the legend that is Justin Guitar. If you haven't checked him out, go check him out. You probably have, but he's brilliant. Check him out. But what he does, and for one of his ideas for playing scales, is by following a pattern. He takes a major scale, he'll play the first note, skip the second, play the third. He then goes back to the second note that he missed out and skip to the fourth. He then goes to the third and then skips to the fifth, goes back and then keeps skipping. I've left a link in the description to his video because it's far more in detail. Here's an example of me trying to play it. But yeah, check out his video after mine and see what you think. Step 5, mix it all together. So this is really just a cheat tip. It's combining all 4 tips up to now in one go. Maybe you could have a swing rhythm with a loud dynamic, or a straight rhythm with a mixture of loud and quiet on the ascend and descend. What about putting straight on the ascend, swung on the descend, whilst playing harmonies in thirds? The options are endless, basically, is what I'm trying to say. If you can make it hard for yourself and challenging, then that's where a bit of fun can come into play. At least with me and my students it is. So those are my ideas for spicing up scales, because let's be honest, they're really boring. And unless you're using them in a wider context to make chords or songs, then just practicing them is pretty boring. However, those tips will hopefully help. Now, if you like this video, then feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. My Patreon, as I said, has links to the PDFs of every major and minor scale available to mankind, all in one place for guitar and piano. And if you just want to show your support in general, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link, which is below. It just helps me get through all the nights of editing my face and my boring tone of voice. However, if you enjoyed it, then kudos to you and well done on getting through to the end of this video. Anyway, I'm rambling on. I shall see you in the next video. See you later.